Okay, hello everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay and everything works okay. But as always, let us know in the chat if there are any problems with the audio or the visuals. This evening we're going to be taking a look at our example games. Now we have been covering a lot of our sort of starter games so far. So these are the games where you begin with kind of a very kind of basic square to start with and the game logic. These example games are a much more kind of final version of some of those. So I'm joined this time by Adam. So Adam, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone.
Cool. Okay, so let me just take us to the main screen. Okay, so what we're going to be doing on this stream, as I say, is we're going to create a couple of those example games. And we'll show you kind of what they are and what they come with and how you can use those to make your own. And then we'll take one of them and then we'll actually spend a bit of time customizing that and kind of, doing our own twists on it. So I think we'll just get straight in there. So if I go to my create page here, so we get our usual kind of starter games across the top here. If I choose to go to at launch, we'll have two available. So we have Team CTF, and here we have this Vault Heist. So Vault Heist is an example of what can be created if starting from the Team CTF starter using the Vault Heist package, which contains useful building templates for quickly constructing a snowy environment. So basically you could begin with the Team CTF starter map and end up in this sort of thing. Okay, so we'll call this Dream Vault Heist. Okay, and what that's going to do, that's going to give me a new editor instance of that. We're going to load into that now, and I'll get Adam to come and join me, and we'll go ahead and play a little bit and just show you sort of what you can get out of this. As always, if you do have any questions throughout the stream or any questions around Crayta itself, then do ask in chat. We've got I think a mod here tonight. We're kind of a bit stretched thin this evening, so I think Maggie's around. If Maggie, you want to sort of wave and chat, and Adam's going to do his best as well to answer whatever questions he can, and I'll also try my best to answer these questions if I can catch any verbally. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to jump into the main menu here and I'm going to generate a share link. I'm going to share this with Adam. So share my game. I'll just take a second. Try that again. There we go. Okay. Right, there we go. That gives me a link to share. So I'll just send that to you now, Adam.
Yep. Cool. I will be joining you shortly.
Okay, cool. Let you do that. While that happens, just bear with me 1 second. I see the audio and video is slightly out of sync, so just give me a sec. I'll see if I can fix that. Okay, it should be back now. Hopefully that kind of kicks things back into life. So what I'm going to do, so yeah, as you can see, we're in our editor instance right now. I think Adam should have joined me in that short outage. You want to come and join me
downstairs? Yep. Hello. Where have you gone?
I've just sort of jumped outside, a bit of a teleport outside.
Oh, I just came to find you upstairs. Okay. It's like you don't want anyone to see my outfit.
Cool. I guess not. Shall I zoom
Hello.
in? Is that a chat demand is the outfit?
Yeah. So
okay.
I'll do my little dance again.
Okay, cool. That's enough of that. Right. So as you can see, we've started with this kind of great big map. The city block with the river, the snowy environment, two big banks. So this is Vault Heist, which is basically a kind of capture the flag game with two necklaces, basically to steal from each other's bank vault. So this comes with all the basic stuff that we saw from before. So we have like the scoreboards, the health bars, the guns. It also comes with some pickups, so shotgun pickups. There's a couple of health pickups and things. So they're all additional things that were added, but are all things that are kind of are available, quite easy to make. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press F5 and we're going to jump straight into the preview mode. Okay, and then once this loads up, what we'll see is our Vault Heist game. Okay, so just the two of us, so not the biggest populated game. Where we start in our bank, and these doors here won't open until the start of the lobby. Sorry, the start of the round at the end of the lobby. Which is another example of something, kind of a round start door, which could come as a package as an additional thing.
Right, now I know there's some better guns hidden around this map. It's just a case of finding them.
Yeah, they take a bit of time to spawn in.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Okay, so I come into the bank on this side. Do your flag. Oh, it's gone back to flags, not necklaces. Flags always look quite cool on your back, though. They attach quite nicely. You get this nice snow, like ambient snow effect as well. Like this map looks really cool. Okay, and capture the flag. So we see we've got the starter game, which we made our capture the clouds game, or capture in the clouds, capture the flag game from a few weeks ago. That was our starter game, which came with, as I say, basically the sort of blank slate with enough logic to get a capture the flag game going. And here we're in a full example of a game that we can do whatever we'd like to.
Where are you?
Press F5. Oh, I'm going to go back to the editor.
Kill you again.
Yeah, I want to steal that as an easy 1-0 to me. I see. Is it possible to have multiple maps in a single game? Yeah. So what you refer to as a map there, we'd call that a world. So you do have the option to add multiple worlds to a single game. Other environmental effects. So rain. We have some a rain effect, kind of a particle effect that you can place. Fireflies, dust, wind. So we have some ambient wind. It kind of blows some leaves around to kind of simulate that thing. We've got some nature sounds, so you can play the sounds that kind of sound like a natural environment to help. Lightning's an interesting one. If you stick around on the stream, you might actually see an example of where we've done that sort of stuff later on. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to return to this menu and create another starter, example map. Example game. It's using our target practice. Okay, this time it's Castle Crusade. So Castle Crusade is an example of what can be created if the starting from the target practice starter and adding a nice environment and moving around. And some moving targets from the Castle Target Shooter package. So again, you can take that default starter game target practice and build it up to be Castle Crusade. Okay, so we just give that a name. We'll pick a picture for that. We'll go for a spooky one. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to return to this menu and I'm going to invite Adam in a different way. And this way is actually not going to give him sort of temporary access, but this time it's going to give him access to the game for as long as kind of I want him to have it. It's going to give him a link on his create page. So if I go to my game here and go to sharing, change sharing permissions, I can pick from my Stadia friends here. So Adam, you're one of those.
I'd certainly hope so.
Yeah. Okay. And now what
On my
that
way.
does. Okay. And then what that's done now is I brought Adam in here, and he'd be able to quit now and come back in. Even if I'd quit, he'd be able to come back in when I'm not around, and it's kind of, it allows us to collaborate on this kind of whenever we'd like to. So I think what we'll do first is we just preview this one, and we'll show you kind of what the game logic looks like and how it kind of plays out and what we're going to be working with here. And we're going to take this game and we're going to kind of give it our own spin and make it our own game.
And this is a really good way to get into Crayta as well. So if you're quite new to it and you're a bit daunted by just starting with an empty map or a fairly empty starter game, you know, just taking an example game and adding your own little spin is a really good way to get started.
Yeah, it's a really interesting kind of good way. You know, if you're a bit daunted by the prospect of making a game, the fact that you can kind of come in here and create your own completely full game that you can then start to play with and actually tear apart. You don't have to worry about making mistakes or breaking this. If you do anything that does kind of break the logic and you want it to start again, you can quite simply just create another version of it, you know, another example game.
So this is a race to get all the targets and then get over the finish line, is that right?
Yes, yeah. So we're actually racing ourselves. So even though we're kind of in the same game and we can see each other, this is a really nice example of kind of how the client and server can kind of behave, kind of how you can program in Crayta using those two things separately. So every time I hit a target and I see the blue fire appear, that's not going to appear on Adam's screen. He's only going to see the targets that he has hit, and that's because we can control different clients separately. So that's a really nice way of being that kind of exposing that and keeping a game multiplayer, but actually allowing you to just come and play it in your own time. Where Crayta, kind of the minimum player count you can have per game is 4 players, so you can't have any less than that. You can actually have a single player enter a game like this, which is kind of a drop in, drop out kind of game. So I can choose to drop out of this whenever I'd like to. It's not going to kick Adam out. You just wouldn't be able to limit to less than 4 players. Okay, cool. Right, I'm going to come back out of this. So I think we've seen enough of that. So as I say, we're in the editor and we get to see kind of we're in the advanced mode here. We can see that our world tree is now full of all these things. So whereas before with the starter games, we just had the terrain, we've got all of this music, all of this lighting, kind of all the effects, and the whole level is here for us to really do whatever we'd like with. As I say, we can start to pull it apart in whatever way we'd like. We can change, you know, anything about this. We don't have to worry about it affecting anything. This is our copy to do with as we wish. So what we thought we'd do, and what we thought might be quite an interesting, is that if we take this and we kind of made it a bit spookier, a bit more horror, and we thought we'd actually get to show you kind of some ways, things you could do with lighting, a bit of scripting, a bit of sound work, and maybe even touch upon a little bit of client side versus server side stuff. So there's a few things we can do there. But as always, if you do have any suggestions, then do let us know. So it's just Adam and me today, so we'll be looking for some stuff for you guys, or from you guys, that we can start adding to this. So yeah, Adam, where do you think we should start?
Cool. So I think one of the things that was actually mentioned earlier in the chat was showing lightning. Is that right? So
yes,
creating some sort of lightning system that can turn on a number of lights and turn them back off again, so we sort of get a flash effect. That might look quite cool.
Yeah, and kind of say create it to look like lightning would be quite cool. And we can maybe add some rain outside actually, because that was kind of asked about the rain, so we could chuck some of the rain voxel outside. Okay, effects. Sorry, a very hot day here today, and I think I'm slowly falling asleep here.
Rain's the one thing you need.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, cool. So let's get some lighting in this first hallway. Do you want to maybe work on the kind of individual script to kind of show and hide the light, and I'll jump in and do the kind of main controller for that?
Sure. Yep. I'll get one of the lights set up in front of one of these windows and start adding the script to it.
Okay, so I'm just going to create an empty locator here, which just gives me kind of an entity in the world to attach things to. It's a locator is basically just represents 3D space. Okay, I'm going to add a new script. Okay, I'll jump in here. Make that a bit bigger. Hopefully you can all see that okay. In fact, while I'm here, Adam, do you mind just jumping in here for a sec?
Yeah, sure. What's the script called?
Just lightning script.
Cool.
Imaginatively. So, okay, so for anyone who's here for the first time or hasn't seen this before, it's always a cool thing to show off. So a key part of Crayta is we always wanted to make sure the game was as collaborative as possible. And we really wanted to make sure we extended that also across to the code side of things. So while playing Crayta and while you're kind of collaborating in an instance, you're actually able to work together in real time in the same code editor as well, which is a really good way of prototyping code out really quickly. But it's also a good way of debugging problems together, or even teaching someone if you're trying to teach someone about game development or how to code in Lua. It's a really, really nice tool to be able to do that. Seeing each other's changes and cursor position and those sorts of things in real time. Really, really nice. Okay, cool. I can fill that out if you'd like.
Yes, please. I don't
start.
actually know what we were going to do in this.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Thank you.
Wait, there was going to be one of these. An infinite loop.
An infinite loop, yes. Yeah. Do you want to just explain kind of how that works and what that means? Part.
So this self-schedule thing is basically saying we'll run this on a separate schedule, so it's not going to hold up the rest of this script. So when we have things like waiting for a second, obviously if we waited for a second in the main body of a script, then like everything would just seize up for a second. So we can't have that. So we set it to run in a separate schedule. When you create a schedule, you have to tell it the function that's going to run in that schedule. So that's like any other function, but you just write it within the schedule. And then this while true do is essentially an infinite loop. So any while loop might look something like while lives is greater than 0 do for a PvP game maybe. But in this case, if you just put true as the condition, that can never evaluate to false. So you're constantly going to go around this loop. And this loop at the moment is wait 1 second, because I hope Russ knows what to put in here to control the lightning instead.
Yes, yeah, I can get to that. Thank you.
Over to Russ.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lean on the event system in Crayta. So events are a really nice way of allowing players to kind of hook logic together. And again, the nice thing behind that, especially from a kind of basic mode player's point of view, is you can access the events and you can do things with events without needing to know much about coding, or if anything about coding. You can take a script and start to plug logic together that way, which is really nice. And it's just a really clean way to kind of put your games together. So what Adam's got here is a wait 1 second. So what we're actually going to do there is, because we're trying to simulate lightning here, and obviously lightning's pretty random. You know, it's not a fixed interval in which you'll see the flash of lightning. So we're going to do something with the math library that comes with Lua. So let's go math.random. Okay, and then math.random will return you a random number, I think between 0 and 1 if you don't pass anything. But if you provide 2 numbers, it will give you a random number between those 2. So what we want here is a random number between 1 and our one of our properties. So these properties here that I've just defined and saved, you can actually see that they're available down here. Let me just hide this. Okay, so down in this bottom corner. So these are properties that even that allow players to interact with your scripts and the logic in those scripts without having to know how to code and without having to come into the script and start changing values. So as you can see here, where I've defined this as a default 1 and an 8, they're the numbers that have appeared here. And these plus signs here next to these two events are where I can then jump in and start to define what happens when these events get fired. So it's a really nice way, as I say, of just kind of hooking things together and allowing players to use your scripts without necessarily having to understand how the code works. So if I do a self.properties.min wait time, okay, so that's what this is going to return now, is a random number between 1 and whatever my min wait time is, which at the moment is 8. So as I say, as a game designer, someone who doesn't want to come into code, you can change this number down here to be 10, 12, or whatever number you'd want, and that would impact the gameplay without having to come in and actually change anything. Okay, so self.properties. Now we want to call our lightning on event. So lightning on and send. So what that will do is that will fire that event. So anything we set up here, which we'll show you in a moment, will actually get triggered. And in this case, we will kind of want to get all of our scripts that are lights to turn on. Then we want to kind of leave them on again for a random amount of time. So the lightning will kind of have a random gap and then be on for a random sort of flash as well. So just another random number between 1 and self.property max on time. And then after that, we'll just do the opposite. So we'll call the lightning off event. Yeah. Okay, and then once we reach this part of the code, because of we're in this while true do loop that Adam said before, what will happen is it will then get to the bottom and it will return to the top, and then we'll wait again for the next slash. So quite simple, quite straightforward. That you could do a lot more things in here, like introduce sounds, introduce all sorts of little bits of logic, but there's a quite simple, straightforward loop. I think that's going to serve its purpose for us just nicely. Okay, have you got your script written, saved at all, Adam?
Yep, it's called the lightning visible script.
Okay, cool. So what we'll want to do is on this event here, if I just click this, it's going to give us a record for this event. So you can have multiple records per event. So when I say lightning on, you can have a lot of different things trigger. If I expand this out, it's going to ask me for an entity and then a script on that entity, and then which event or which function on that script to call. If I don't provide an entity, I can just select a script, and what will happen then is the game will go for every script in the world that has that. So I assume that's how you're doing this now, Adam. If I just go for lightning visible script there with no entity.
Cool. And then there's a lightning on and a lightning off.
Lightning on, lightning off. Nice. Okay. So I'll select that, and then for lightning off, I'll do the same. So if I just expand this out, say lightning visible script, lightning off. Okay, so now what we're saying is when I call these two events here, these two things will get triggered, which is going to turn all our lights on and then all our lights off. Okay, I can see this is already really bright in here, so I assume you're setting up some lights outside.
Yes, that's the lightning being on. Okay. Obviously, it shouldn't look like that most of the time when you play the game.
If we do, I wonder if we made those point lights, would that behave better? Let me just try that. I'm going to get this first one. I'm going to turn this into a point light. Okay, and I'm actually going to turn shadows on.
Yeah, that might make it a lot more interesting, actually.
See there, look, we get this really nice reflection through. So here we can see this is one of our meshes, our 3D meshes that come with the game. This is one of my favorites, actually, this really nice stained glass. And what's actually happening here is it's casting this really cool shadow, really quite spooky looking shadow on the back wall. So I think, yeah, that's probably the way to go with those. I'm just going to go ahead and change all these to be point lights.
No need. There are templates. You can just copy the first one up.
Of course they are. Okay, cool. So what Adam's done there is he's made a template, or these all into a template. A template is like a snapshot almost. It's a saved, you get a saved master version of this light. So if I was to just go here and edit this template, it looks a bit strange if it's just a light here, but we get this light which is our template, and you notice the rest of the world has disappeared around me. And actually, I got these properties here that I can change. I could change them here, and what would happen is it would update all of the instances of the template in one go. But because I've changed this one in world to be a point light, I can actually now. Oh, did you already do that? The copy changes?
Nope, not yet.
Oh, okay.
It should have just been Lightning Light 1 was the one that you'd made the changes to.
Yes, yeah. So if I copy to template, copy there, we see, yeah, okay. So as I copy that changes I made to that first one to the template, that will go through all of the other ones and make those what we want them to be. So that's actually a really nice, cool effect. And I think when that works with the lightning flicking the light off and on, that'll actually look pretty cool. I've just noticed the skulls have appeared on the targets as well. It's extra spooky.
You weren't meant to see that. That's a surprise.
Surprise. You made it sound more exciting than I imagined. So I'm excited to see what it is you've got planned with that. Okay, so as I say, if anyone does have any suggestions, then please do let us know. So we'll do our best to try and program them up or include them here on the fly.
I've had another idea with the skulls. You're going to love it.
Oh, I'm
Not
excited.
that you knew what the first idea was yet.
No.
This one's even better.
It is. Okay. Cool. So while we're working on lighting, another way we could kind of make this slightly more horror-esque and a bit more spooky is maybe restricting the players to a first-person view. So that's quite straightforward. All we need to do is go to our player template here. Okay. And then we've got a few options here for our player. And one of those is a forced camera perspective. So normally, if we're in the action cam, for example, so that third person camera, it's up to players what perspective they get to play in. So you could press page up or the controls on the controller to toggle between first person view or a kind of backed away third person. You get a perspective change there. But if as a creator I decide I want this character to be set in first person, or the players for my game to be set specifically in first person, then we can control that sort of thing from here quite easily. Okay, cool. So we'll see that next time we preview. I wonder what actually might also work out quite nicely with this is if we have like almost like a torch. I'm trying to think, that's quite a horror thing, isn't it? It's kind of looking around and it's quite a limited almost field of view purely because everywhere's dark and you're just kind of looking at what your light's got.
I mean, is it even a horror game if you don't just have a massive torch on the front of the player?
That's true. I'm just following your drone. I just wondered where your drone was going.
I'm not sure.
You're exploring.
You're puffing me out. Go away.
I just thought you zip up the stairs. I was quite interested.
I have to look like I'm doing something now. Rain. Okay. Someone asked about rain. I'll put in some rain.
Oh yeah, if you could put that in the courtyard, I think that would have looked quite cool, wouldn't it? Do we have lights around the rest of the windows as well? Have you done that?
No, I didn't really bother with many windows. I should probably do a few more.
Yeah, if you want to get some more lights. I wonder if we'd need like a massive light in the courtyard that will get some really cool reflection shadows from the trees as well.
Yes, I think that sounds like a good idea.
Okay, I'm just gonna that's better. You can see what we're doing now. So you might have noticed it was quite a dark map. Obviously it's quite set to nighttime. While working in the editor, that's not always ideal. You might want to be able to see what you're doing a bit clearer. So you can go to the world settings and you can actually check a checkbox at the top called editor time of day preset override. And what that will do is that will override the settings for while you're in the editor and allow you to actually see what you're doing without having to kind of undo world settings things just kind of for while you're working. Right, so what we want to do is I want to add a torch to the front of this. I wonder if there's a mesh that I could use, kind of a medieval looking like torch mesh. They're all kind of modern looking, aren't they, really?
There's the wall sconce, which you could probably sort of rotate in an interesting way.
Yeah, I wonder what the size. Well, that's probably going to be a touch. Touch too big. We'll see. I want to go with it.
Cool. Why not?
Why not? Okay, so I'm going to disable collision on this. So obviously anything you attach to the player, you kind of best bet is to always disable the collision on that, just to stop any kind of unwanted issues when it's kind of attached to the player. Where I can kind of chuck it in, kind of like a. Oh, it kind of works quite nice actually, because the bottom of the sconce kind of fits back onto the handle, so it looks like it's like a proper little extension. Yeah, I like that. Let's go with that.
Okay. Yeah, it works. Looks
Cool.
good to me.
Like kind of a steampunk medieval.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure
thing.
medieval people attach torches onto their crossbows. How would you fight at nighttime otherwise?
Exactly.
It's just impossible.
Okay, so now I want to right click here, and I'm going to go to create a child light. Okay. So now I've got this light here, I can position it as I want. Instead of it being a point light, which is this kind of area light, so to speak, I'm going to change it to a spotlight. We get this slightly different looking kind of preview of what the light would look like. So at the minute it's a huge circle, which is really narrow. If I just change some of these parameters here, and again, all this could be done without touching any code. You're just kind of changing the numbers and the values. And the nice thing is you can always undo anything you've done here. So you're just getting to play with them. It's a really good way of learning how it all comes together. So I'm probably going to want to make it a bit more intense. Let's go for like a 50 intensity. Exponent. So the exponent is how sort of sharply the light drops off. So if you've got a really small exponent, the light's going to be almost just as bright at the edges of this circle as it would be near the start. So for a spotlight, that's kind of the effect we want. So I'm going to go all the way down to sort of like a 2. So it's still got like a slightly kind of faded edge, but it still works in the way we'd like it to. Outer angle, so that's our kind of main arc of this circle. So if I change this all the way down to something like 25, now we can see we're starting to get this sort of flashlight type control that we're looking for. I might go even smaller, maybe like a 20. Attenuation is probably okay. Might bump it up a little bit. So the attenuation is the distance the light will travel before it starts to drop off. Okay, and we could select to have shadows on this, but I think we'll leave it. We can always put shadows on if we want to. Okay, and we can just rotate that light itself, and now we can see that facing forwards from this crossbow and its medieval attachments, we're going to have this this light cone in front of us. Cool. Right, let me just put the world settings back as they were. Okay, do you think you're ready for a quick preview, Adam? Are you in the middle of something, or have a quick look at what we've got so far?
Let me just rotate this directional light so the courtyard's lit up a little bit better. That's looking pretty good. Right there. Yep, go for it.
Okay, so I'm going to hit preview at this point. So what you'll see here is we're going to travel into our preview side of the game. Again, very quickly. So all the changes we've made, we're going to get a very quick preview of that, and that's such a nice way to make games. You know, we're not having to spend ages waiting for the game to build. We just kind of get straight in. So, okay, after you. Well, this light's starting to look quite cool.
Ignore the skulls; they didn't work.
Okay, it looks like the lightning's on for much longer than it needs to be as well. So I wonder if they're not.
It might be stuck on. Oh, it's your script. Haha, it's your fault, not mine. Lightning script line 22.
Okay, I made a mistake.
An issue with random.
Okay, let's go back and return the editor. So again, that speed of iteration is really cool. So you get to jump straight back to the editor, make any changes, make any fixes, and get straight back into preview. And you know, you can kind of diagnose and fix problems really quick.
I see what it is. Max on time doesn't exist in the properties.
Oh, I've called it min in my properties. That was silly, wasn't it?
That'll be it.
So max and max.
Wait, now there's no min wait time.
Yeah, no, they should all be max.
Okay.
So it's right between 1 and the maximum amount of time you want it to be.
Okay, that
so
should
max.
Should be good.
Okay, and they'll all be off by default, will they?
Should be.
Should be. Okay, let's hit. Right, let's find out this time.
They are. Aha.
Aha, cool. So as that lightning strikes, so hopefully you guys can see that kind of lightning coming through and giving us a nice effect on this back wall. And Adam's made it so when the lightning strikes, we actually get that skull up here, which is a really, really kind of spooky looking. It's quite weird. It's amazing actually how much you could start to like mess with people. You could have entire rooms appear and disappear. You could have, yeah, no, that's quite a powerful like horror little trick, isn't it? Actually. Yeah, what's this? What's this?
I left a candlestick in the way.
Okay, that's almost the spookiest bit so far because I really wasn't expecting that.
I've gone off piste. Run into it though.
Ooh.
Yay! Someone asked about physics, so I thought I'd surprise you with some physics.
Cool. Okay, yeah. So, and to set that up, I assume all you did was place the mesh and checked physics enabled on it.
It's pretty much that simple. Yep. You'll find a couple more of them as well.
Cool.
This is why you don't have more lightning lights around the place.
See if we can push this all the way to the end with us.
Oh, I just kicked a chair into the ceiling, I think.
Oh, they got like a green light on the skull as well.
Yes, that was the other thing. I lied, it's not as exciting as the fact that the skulls appear, but...
Oh, and here's our rain. Is it rain or is it snow?
It should be rain.
That's rain, yeah. I think it's the flashlight makes it look quite white, but...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's our ambient rain effect. Oh, and then when the lightning goes, you can...
Yeah, go down into the courtyard. Where have we gone?
Ooh.
The courtyard looks awesome in the lightning.
It does actually, and just the way all the schools appear at the same time, that looks really cool. Okay, cool. Right, well, let's jump back to the editor then, and let's see if there's anything else we want to add to that. So, as always, I've probably missed all the suggestions you guys have been saying. Feel free to shout them out again, and we'll do our best to pull them out. Looks like got plenty of questions coming our way as well, which is always good. If you do have any questions about anything Crayta related, then do make sure you ask them and we'll do our best to answer them. Okay. One thing I might do is just tweak some world settings because I feel like the torches and things were good, but they weren't quite... It's almost like the environment was still a tiny bit too bright. And I think if we're going horror, you want it to be that little bit darker. So
it's not fitting the mood just yet, is it?
No. So actually having the lightning on here by default is quite a nice way of getting to sort of tweak this. So what can we do here? So override sun. If we lower the sun's intensity, I think that would be a bit too late in the day for the sun to have much of an effect. Toggle the shadows. Okay, we want those on. In the skylights, we could reduce a lot of that, so we see, yeah, these sort of areas around here starting to get much darker. Actually, what might work quite nicely here is using some of our color gradings and post processors. So if anyone hasn't seen these before, these are all really nice things that just give us a kind of a nice effect with simply just changing a color grading option or a post process. So it's either going to put color grade over where it will change the colors kind of to some rules essentially. So I could go for something like Alien Planet, and we see here the colors are all changing in sort of specific ways. We could go for super color, which really starts to pull the colors out to be much brighter essentially, like the reds and the greens pop much more. Warm kind of gives us that nice warm feel. So again, all of these are things that we can just change a drop down on and really start to customize the way our game looks and feels. So I think a good one for this would be noir. So noir, we can see, I'll just get rid of the UI there for a second. That's actually starting to kind of make the bright bits look a bit like extra bright, but then kind of, yeah, this nice kind of dark areas in the corners. It looks quite dark now, obviously, and kind of gameplay wise might be tricky, but as the players have their torches, I think that might just work out quite nicely. So let's just return to the world settings and have a look at some post processors. So post processors are slightly different. They're a little bit more extreme, and what you'll find here with the post processors is they're a kind of a proper shader that will really change the way that the screen renders and kind of appears. I'll just hide this tab over here. Okay, so if I'm going to go for something a bit more extreme like sketch. Ooh, that's.
Whoa.
Oh, I wonder if we could trigger a post process when the lightning happens.
We could.
Would that?
Is that something you want me to do?
Oh, I'm trying to think if there's one that would look good, or it might spoil the effect. But all of the post processes and color gradings are things that you can actually control on a per client basis. So you can have specific players, or all the players, see the world through the lens of one of these post processes, which is a really interesting way to kind of adjust gameplay. So, for example, we have this thermal vision. And if I just try and find where Adam's character is, or we're both here. So actually that's going to pull out our characters and give them this kind of heat glow, essentially. So you could be in a world where, for example, a player might equip a pair of night vision goggles, or some sort of sight, like kind of night sight potion or anything like that. Anything you kind of want to code in. And then you could have those players see through this post process, and you've instantly got the effects of that without having to go into any detailed code and write that sort of thing yourself, which could be a very experienced thing to try and do. By simply just selecting a post process for those players, it works quite nicely.
Before you change back, go into the banquet hall with that effect on. Just have a look at that.
The banquet hall.
Yes. Yeah, it looks like you're here.
Yeah.
I just like looking at it with that post-process effect.
Yeah.
It looks so like spooky.
It does. It looks really cold and dark, doesn't it? And yeah, no, that is pretty
cool.
Pretty spooky.
Yeah, that was all.
Yeah, no, I see. Okay, so we've got a couple more here we can play with. So something like 8-bit is another one of our really extreme ones. You wouldn't perhaps have an entire game using this, but you could have something where one player receives a power up and all the other players see this sort of crazy vision of like almost like a an old school shooter type thing. So you can just about make out what's what. So here we can see a dummy in front of me. But yeah, I think that's a really cool effect, and I'd love to see people use this one in some kind of really inventive, interesting ways. To go for something like outline. I love this one. I really like this one. So this kind of strips all the lighting out of the level, but it just creates a really cool way to look at your environment. Start to pull out all the edges. Yeah, this does look really cool. Like, it's a shame it doesn't work with the lightning, because if it did, I'd be well up for using this one now. You can create some really cool looking kind of just strange geometry kind of levels, I imagine. Yeah, this looks really nice. Okay, and I just thought, the lines are normally blue, aren't they? I wonder if, because I've combined that with noir, which is why we've got these kind of whiter lines.
Yeah, so that changes the color of the effect.
Oh, that's
as well.
interesting. So I can combine the post process, create different lines on this. That's cool. I'd never realized that before. Now, the beauty of Crayta is you can spend all day playing it, but you still learn something new all the time. I just want to see what all these combinations are now. That's quite a cool one. Okay, we'll stick with noir. I think what we'll do for this one is we'll actually done our one of our favorite ones is the cell shaded, which I think works really nicely with that kind of bright lighting coming through, and those darker edges, and it just kind of gives it something, I don't know, like extra kind of stylish as well. Okay, cool. That's starting to look pretty nice. So what is it you're currently working on, Adam? Do you want me to go and add some more lights, or have you done that already?
In terms of lights, I think I've got enough. There's one in the courtyard, so I'm coming through the banquet hall, and I think the last walkway is sort of doesn't have windows, so it might not work in there.
Okay, cool.
So I think I've generally done enough lights. I saw a cool suggestion in the chat.
Yep.
Which was, where am I looking? While the torchlight is on another player, make the target player's post-process change. So I'm going to attempt that. Wish me luck.
Okay, go for it.
So it should mean if you point your light at me, then I'll see the world change into, I don't know, sketch or something.
Ooh, interesting. Should you want to have a quick preview first, just before you dive into that, just to test this new look and feel, or have you already started that?
I've only added the trigger, so yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. I think we'll have a look, see how we're looking with these new things. Okay, so it's definitely much darker. Definitely starting to feel more like horror game. So I can only really see the areas that I'm actually looking at. And there's our lightning flashing with the skulls. Super cool. Tell you what I might do, inspired by your physics candelabra, is add something almost like a poltergeist type thing. So I might have some physics enabled objects that randomly sort of launch themselves every so often.
That sounds quite good.
Just kind of like bounce around. I might take the things you've already got the physics enabled on and do that. So every so often it'll just randomly jump into the air slightly. I make players jump. Okay, I'm going to equip my axe. Have a go at these guys. Oh yeah, the courtyard's really cool when it lights up.
The rain looks really good as well.
It does
in the
look
bright
nice,
light.
yeah.
Bam. Right, 4 left.
Oh, I've missed a couple somewhere because I know there's only 4 in this last room.
That's the really tricky part of this. You've got to make sure you don't miss any. Going for a new best. Yes, 121.
No, I ran
What'd
out.
you
get? My time is still going because I had 2 left to get. Cool.
Oh no.
Let's go back. Okay, cool. Right, so I'm going to take your physics enabled objects and get them to do a little bit of a launch jump in a certain direction. So do that on here.
So where's our crossbow? That's what I was having a look at. This could be a tricky one.
All right, how do you think you're going to do it?
So what I'm doing is I'm putting a trigger box around the end of the crossbow light thing that you put on the wall sconce.
Okay.
And I'm making that players only, so it only detects when a player walks into it. And then I'm going to make it so that on the local client of the player who walked into it, it's going to change their post-process effect when they on trigger enter.
Yeah.
And then when they exit the trigger, it's going to change it back to however it started.
Okay, cool. Gotcha. So is that trigger box going to cover the sort of cone itself?
Roughly, yeah. I mean, it's a box. It's a box shape, but
yeah,
roughly,
yeah. We're gonna. I mean, I guess you could spend some time going into some kind of more complex maths on the lower side and actually do like a cone detection, but outside of the scope of the stream, obviously. But you know, again, that's the nice thing with Crayta, isn't it? You've always got an option to do kind of however you'd like to, and if you really wanted to get into the maths of it, you could do some sort of like kind of some crazy sort of maths that you'd normally do day in day out.
You make it sound like I do a lot of maths.
Well, it's not. It's quite. You know, it's not very often I come into a script you've written that there isn't a math dot something in there.
Yeah, but those are fairly simple functions. I mean, what you're maybe missing is every time I write maths functions, it's generally just the same thing that I forgot to make into a package last time.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess on that note as well, that's something players can always do is if you have math functions that aren't necessarily like the Lua built-in things like math dot random and those things, but you had some sort of mathematic algorithm that you've written for one game, you could have those things in scripts that you could then package up to be in the community tab, which is a place that, if I just show you here, it's a place that you can have all sorts of packages of templates and, you know, and assets put together to share with other players, or just kind of share with yourself, keep with yourself. So you could write a catalog of things in one game that give you all sorts of functions that you know you're going to want to use across multiple games. And when you go to a new game, you start a new project, you know, you've had a new idea, you can just download that package and you have all those things there. You're not having to kind of constantly repeat actions and code that you've written. Okay, so I'm going to specify here, I'm just going to give myself a little launch vector. So what this is going to do is it's going to determine which direction the sort of object is just going to launch itself. And we'll also do a sort of how often it will do it. So repeat timer number, and we'll give that a default of 10 seconds. And we'll probably make it random as well. I feel like that'd be a bit spookier. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the candelabra that Adam enabled physics on earlier. So all he'd done is simply checked this box here, which says physics enabled. And that then told Crayta that, you know, this will act under physics. So when players bump into it, it will fall over. We can do things like change the scale. We can determine whether it's got gravity enabled or not, which might look quite spooky as well. And I have gravity randomly enabling and disabling and thrusting around. I've got no idea what that would look like.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, I guess I could try that. So we'll do the same as we did before. We'll write a little schedule. Again, a schedule allows us to kind of run a bit of logic in a separate thread to the main game. It's a really nice way of just kind of making these small little details to games. And it was similar with the package system. If I wanted this sort of script to be accessible to other players, I could just package that up. Okay, so while true do, because we want to kind of have this loop running for as long as the game is running. We want this to kind of continue. So we want to wait for a math.random between 1 and our repeat time. Okay, and what we want this to do is a self get entity add impulse. Okay, and you can see here with the sort of autocomplete API that we've got, it's really a nice way to sort of start exploring the Lua side of things. We did release our developer site today as well, so the API docs are there ready to start looking through, and they'll be available. Obviously, they'll be there ready for launch day for everyone who wants to kind of get into this side of things. But they're also available here, sort of directly in the code editor, which is a really nice way to sort of start noodling around and learning. So add impulse, and we want the vector that we're going to impulse by to just simply be our launch vector. Okay, that should give us what we want. So now we just specify the vector that will do that. I'm just going to do like kind of a bit of a select 20 in the Z, and that should just get the thing to kind of like jump up in the air. We'll see how that looks. Maybe even let's get it to play a sound as well. So let's specify another property here called launch sound. Okay, and the type of sound asset. Okay, so while I save the script now, we'll see that that appears down here for our properties, and we can go through and try some different sounds. And I know we've got some in here, so if I search horror, a whole list of kind of different strange horror noises to go through. I like that first one. Yeah, let's go with horror low hit one. Okay, and then we can call that sound again. So we do self got entity, so we kind of call this against the entity itself, which is the candelabra, and we want to say play sound and self.properties launch sound from our properties, so we can tell the game which sound it is we want to play. Okay, that should give us what we're after. If I return to my game, I can see that that's on there. You said you had some more stuff with physics enabled?
There was the barrel and the chair just in the same hallway.
Oh, in the same hallway. Oh, okay. Cool. Okay, so I can go to my library and scripts. Build this for jump script, and then I can just click and drag. Oh, no. If I'm on the right thing, I could click and drag that down here. So that script now appears down here. Let's pick maybe a different sound for that one. Specify, maybe get the barrel to jump a bit higher. That'll be 40 on that one. Okay. And then the chair, oh yeah, the chair's there. Let's just do the same for that one. Okay, so there's a few things there that should jump around and act a little bit spooky. So how are you getting on? Do you think you're ready for a preview, Adam?
I'd say yeah. Let's
Yeah.
go for it.
A quick look at what you've done. So okay,
So I should.
yeah, I can see your trigger box there.
No, don't look at it.
Oh
That was
no.
a surprise.
Well, I saw the trigger
Ruin
box, but
everything.
I didn't see. I just saw the trigger. You already explained the trigger. Right. Okay. I'm gonna press
Okay.
play. We'll see your top secret surprise.
So yes, when we point flashlights at each other, we go in thermal vision.
I'm not in thermal vision.
I am.
Oh, I
Am I?
think I know why. Let me just go back.
Am I in my own thermal or something weird
No,
like
I
that?
think yeah.
What did you do?
The world settings hadn't applied. So okay. So when I look at you, you're in thermal, I guess.
Yep, I've gone to thermal,
And when you
then
look
when
at
I
me,
point at you.
ooh, oh, that's spooky. Okay, nice. Oh,
Wait, when you run around, are you also going into thermal sometimes?
yes.
Yes, I think it might be a little bit. Oh, it's when the player goes idle again. The crossbow goes down by their
Ooh.
legs, and then you go back into the trigger.
So you think we're catching ourselves?
Yeah, we are. I can fix that if you want.
Can do.
But
Let's just see
There's one more surprise to find on that hallway.
if these are doing anything. I can hear that they're doing something. Maybe I need to get a much bigger impulse on them. So.
Not the other. Oh right, you're looking at.
Yeah, I was just checking my things. I think that I've got. Oh, that went crazy. Right, yeah, I need to get a bigger impulse to get them to move.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready to go back if you are.
No, you've got to find my last surprise, which I'm just going to point out. Come back to this first suit of armor in this hallway. Make sure you keep shooting arrows so you don't go idle as well.
Or you can hold right click.
All that.
Yeah.
And then walk up to that suit of armor.
I'm scared.
Go.
Oh. Okay, so that's you're just playing the animation on that, are you? I guess.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it only plays on the client, so if you step back and watch me go into it, I'll see it, but you won't. Yeah, so I saw it then, but you shouldn't have.
All right, that's a really good way to kind of mess with players, I guess. So you might be playing with a friend and they're going crazy about how the thing just tried to attack them, but I never saw it happen. So that's quite clever, actually. I guess, yeah, you're just utilizing the kind of client server side there. So you're kind of calling that on a specific client. Same with the thermal vision.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, right. I'm going to press F5 and we'll go back, and you want to just fix that little thing we got to just there.
Yeah, so the thermal thing.
Yep, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to need to make these have a much bigger impulse, I think. So let's try 200. Let's go 10 times more on all of these. Go mad. Let's get this chair to bounce around. Okay, I'm ready to jump back whenever you are.
Yeah, try it. Okay. So when I go idle... Come on, go idle.
Oh, wait, when I went idle, it went thermal?
I think it's because I looked past you.
Oh, I see. But when I aim at you... Wait, aim at me?
I think this is working now.
I think it's working. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, if I run on ahead, then you shouldn't go thermal at all.
I'm gonna check my...
So these bouncy things...
Yeah, I wonder if
what do they do?
They're supposed to like add an impulse, but I probably just haven't got a high enough impulse. It's a bit of trial and error, but...
Oh, are they just supposed to bounce like straight upwards?
Yeah. Right, let's go back. Let's see what you think. I've got my logic correct here.
What's your script called?
Jump script. So it's playing the sound. I'm adding the impulse of a launch vector.
Launch vector is of type vector.
Yeah.
We've got to go find one to see what its properties are.
So I've done like 200, 400, and 800. I don't know if it just needs to be way more, or
you might need really big numbers.
Really big numbers, okay. Go like
So-
2,000.
Yeah, which one are you changing? I'll change barrel.
I did the candelabra.
I'll make the barrel 10,000 just to go like over the top and see if that works.
And I'll go 15,000 on the chair. So
Right, let's give that a go.
yeah, okay. So again, it's kind of the beauty of the properties. It's a really nice way to just jump in and out and just tweak numbers and get back in and preview the game really quickly. Yeah, you're not having to spend too much time doing. Oh, okay. So 15,000 on the chair. There's a tiny little hop. Oh.
Oh wow. The barrel is like just slightly lifting up. Watch.
It's quite a funny
Okay,
little
so
bounce.
we do need big numbers.
Or some sort of like, yeah, I guess what might work is just do, we could do like a launch vector of 0, 0, 1 and then just have a number like a strength multiplier or something, which you could make that random as well. But okay, let's go back. Let's just change them all to like, yeah, the kind of crazier numbers.
50,000.
Let's go
I'm
mad.
going 50,000 on the barrel.
Okay, where did the candelabra go? I'm gonna
We did the
go.
chair.
I'm gonna go for like. I think this is quite heavy, so I can see the weight. The candelabra is 160 kilograms as its calculated mass.
Okay, the chair's 62, so
Okay,
I've gone
so
for
I think the candelabra is
30,000.
kind of the heaviest thing. So let's go for like. I don't know what I might do actually. So we can adjust things like the mass. So I'm going to override the mass of the candelabra to be like 50, so it's quite light. And then make, what have you set the chair to?
30,000.
Okay, so I'm going to go similar. Let's go, yeah, 30,000. But I'm also going to add like 15,000 in the X, so it's going to fly sideways slightly as well. So this might go a bit weird, but kind of the fun of it, right? We'll see how it looks.
They're probably going to be like hopping over the banister or something now into the banquet hall.
Well, the candelabra's gone, so that's
It worked.
it worked.
Okay, the barrel actually jumps about the right amount now. Next time it jumps, I'm going to knock it out of the air. Ah! Where's it gone?
Oh, there it
Oh,
is.
it's over here. Nice. Oh, it's still trying to bounce.
Oh, it's always fun to play with physics.
Oh, the candelabra's down in the banquet hall.
Is it?
Yeah, it's trying to bounce towards the wall now. Oh, it bounced itself upright
Oh, I can
and
see.
then
Yeah.
fell over again. Oh. Okay, well, that's working.
I mean, that's kind of spooky, right? You got props randomly throwing themselves around a room.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, right. Okay. I think what time we're at, we should probably think about. We're getting towards the end of this, so hopefully you can see that what we've got here. You know, we're starting to kind of really craft our own little version of this game. That you could go, you know, really crazy. You could really strip out all the logic. You could start to change all sorts of the level itself. You could take parts of the castle away. You could add, you know, you could start to throw in different theme packs. You can really start to explore this. And as I say, it's a really nice starting point for kind of learning how to make games in Crayta. Right, Adam, where are you? It should come back to the start, and I think we'll have one final race round.
Okie doke. I've got to make it past the jumping barrels. I'm on my way.
Okay.
Oh, if you equip the axe, it seems like you get to run a bit faster. Is that just... Oh no, that's my imagination. I think I pressed shift at the same time. Alright, I'm ready.
Yeah. Funny enough, when you sprint, you go a bit faster. Oh, you there? Spooky, you got behind me.
Thermal.
Nice. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Right, 3, 2, 1, go.
I mean, we don't have to go at the same time.
Oh, we don't. But it's interesting if we're racing each other as well.
Getting ahead up the stairs. Banquet hall time.
Oh, that chair's gone mad. I think I've missed one. I have. There we go.
Oh wow, the lightning really helps identify targets in the yard as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a useful gameplay.
Right, I think I'm crawling ahead here.
I think you are. I meant to try and jump up on the banister, but ended up jumping down. I'm on target. There's 4 left in here.
No, I just went over a minute. 1 minute, 0 seconds, 781 milliseconds.
That's quite precise. Okay, I was
Just to prove how close.
112, so no good. Okay, cool. So I think that's probably a good place to sort of wrap this up then. We're at about that time anyway, aren't we? So, okay, once again, thank you, Adam, for joining me. I'll speak to you in a moment. Okay, so hopefully that's given you an idea. So it's slightly shorter, quicker stream tonight. But obviously we're kind of ramping up and getting slightly kind of hectic week ready for launch. So those are 2 example games that will be available for you to play with and learn from when we launch on Stadia next week. It's crazy. So bringing in as 2 launch day, we do have quite an interesting day planned with all sorts of streams. So do make sure you follow us on Discord and all those places, Twitter, Instagram. So we're kind of keeping constant communication. But yeah, if you make sure you're on Discord, we'll kind of be announcing various things very soon or early next week about our plans for launch day. I hope you're as excited as we are. You know, kind of an amazing buzz around the studio, even though we're all obviously kind of working from home at the moment. It's an amazing environment, and kind of, yeah, it's super cool to be doing what we're doing, and we can't wait to see you guys in the game next week. So do make sure, as I say, you follow us. So the links should be crayta.com/discord. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram with Crayta Game. And also make sure you do subscribe to us here on YouTube. We've got all sorts of content planned. So this was our kind of last pre-launch stream, so to speak, but kind of after launch and onwards, we do have a lot of streams planned and a lot of video content for you guys to kind of enjoy and learn with us and kind of join in with us. So if you are interested in Crayta and all those things, there's a lot of content already available on the channel for you to go and check out, kind of previous stream archives and showcase videos and such things. Thanks kind of Maggie for kind of doing a great job with the mods, and I saw a few of you guys jumped in there at the end, so that's amazing. Good stuff. And yeah, we'll hope to see you on launch day.